Wonderful teaching on this week's Parsha. It's from Rabbeinu Bechaya. He's an amazing rabbi, 600 years ago. And he quotes from King Solomon. He says it's like a gold ring and a beautiful wristband. Someone, a wise person, rebuking accepting ear. This is from King Solomon, as we mentioned. He's telling us how important the attribute of admonishing and rebuking, telling someone if they're doing something wrong, or just directing someone on the right path. The entire Torah is dependent on this. Anyone who can really accept and receive admonishment and rebuke and will listen to the voice of the one who is admonishing them, this is a very high level for someone who can attain this. So someone who can hear they're bad, even in the sense that they're hearing they're doing something wrong, or someone is giving them good advice and they can listen to this. Why is it so important? Because if someone can have this, they will have all good things. It means they'll be able to learn in their life. They'll be able to listen to good advice in general, and that good advice will span all areas. And doing this will help their Torah last. It will help their Torah endure. So someone who hates rebukes, it says this is a very bad attribute, which actually has all of the bad in it. Because someone who hates rebukes and admonishment won't listen to any advice usually, and then they'll end up doing a lot of bad things and end up making a lot of mistakes, and that will end up taking them away from the Torah, because the Torah is something that is supposed to direct us, and this person is not wanting to listen to direction, so in the end he will usually throw off the yoke of Torah. And that's what Solomon also says. It's called musar ra, like a bad discipline for the one who leaves the path. The one who hates admonishment will die, unfortunately. He's explaining the one who hates rebuke is even worse than the one who leaves the path. Someone who has left the path, he might have stopped doing a certain mitzvah. He'll usually be punished. God will usually punish to bring them back on the path, because God is teaching us through punishment to warn us to wake up. So usually it's easier because the person left one commandment or so, or maybe even a few commandments, but they haven't left the entire Torah. But the person who hates rebuke, it's not going to be enough just punishments. They hate rebuke. They hate admonishment. They can't hear any criticism. So they will, in the end, usually have worse consequences. So it's a very serious thing. So Solomon is warning us how important it is to be able to receive advice, admonishment, and these types of things. He says that really admonishment is, like he said, it's a gold ring for the nose. Like in those days, many women wore these things. It's like a beautiful bracelet. It's the adornment of the soul. It's the beauty of the soul. The person who can hear it, and the wise man or the wise person will rebuke or admonish someone that's actually listening and accepting this. So it's the soul is actually becoming beautified through this and is going to a higher level. So there's two types of admonishment, he says. One, he says that you're obligated to admonish. And the second one is someone you shouldn't admonish and rebuke. Who are those that we are supposed to admonish? A wise person, a simpleton, someone who just doesn't know, or young people. Who are we not supposed to admonish? Clowns, people that take life as a joke. Fools, and the wicked. Clowns, what is clowns? It says if you admonish the clown, this is someone who's always messing around, who doesn't take things seriously. They'll usually hate you when you admonish them, and they won't accept it, and they'll hate you more. And actually, it will bring shame to the person who's giving them the admonishment. He compares this to the prophet Jeremiah. He was trying to admonish his generation. This was the generation that was about to go into exile with the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar. They didn't listen to him. So it says they were even cursing him. That so much so that they hated hearing this admonishment. Fools, where do we know this? It says don't admonish the fool, because your words will be despised by him. His intellect will hate your words. The fool will actually make a joke of you in a sense. And the wicked, it says that when someone admonishes a wicked person, they're going to turn the table on them. They're just going to say, oh, well, you did this and you did that. So they're not going to accept it, and they're going to start besmirching the person who is admonishing them, and it will make a bad name and bring shame to the admonisher, so it's not even worth it. It's a waste of time. So it says don't admonish those people. If you see someone who's not listening, don't even bother anymore, because it's not good for them either, because it's kind of, you're giving them the warning and they're not listening, so they're more obligated. So it's better just not to warn them in those instances. So we said that you are supposed to admonish wise people. If you admonish a wise person, they will love you because they want to grow. Sometimes they're making a mistake, they forgot, having a tough time, and they need someone to tell them, stop, or you're doing something, or give them advice, and they'll love you for it. The innocent, or the people that don't know, the simpleton, give them wisdom, teach them. So they'll love you also because you're teaching them, and you're going to bring wisdom to them. And young people, you need to teach young people the path. The main admonishment is really for young people because their intellect is not complete. Young people have more of an evil inclination, more than the good inclination. You see, little children, usually they're more connected to physical and spiritual. When we become older, we start to become spiritual. When a girl turns 12 and when a boy turns 13, at their bar or bat mitzvah, that's actually when the good inclination actually enters into them fully. Really, they need the admonishment, they need the rebuke, because they're just thinking about this world, or just thinking about the body. So when they're young and their nature is still malleable, that's when they need the admonishment, so you can direct them on the right path and direct them to the path of good. And that they should learn to listen to advice, and they should learn to listen to the voice of one who's giving them good advice. They should learn to listen to the Torah. The Torah is all about admonishment. The Torah is about keeping us on the right path. As it says, V'derech chaim tochachot musar. The way of life is rebukes of discipline and admonishment. That's the way of life. In life, we make mistakes and we need to be put on our path. That's just the way God set it up. If we leave a young person in the bad path and we just let them control their way and go in their nature the way they want to do it, it's not going to be good, because by the time they're older, it's going to be much harder for them to change. It's much harder to change certain habits once they've been ingrained in our system, whether it's good or bad. So we want to get them in a good system, good habits. And that's why you're hearing nowadays so much how they're saying how chores are so important, even for little kids, even 2-3-year-olds. From the moment that they're able to actually do chores, give them chores. And he says, Chanoch lanar al pi darko, gam ki yaskin lo yisir mena. Educate the young person according to his way. Even when he gets older, he's not going to leave it. Whatever way you're educating the youth, that's the path they're usually going to stay on. Like we said, it's harder for them when they're older. So better just do it when they're young. And through this, you're going to really benefit their soul and bring merit to their soul. And this is what King David says, how can a youth merit on his path? He's saying by doing the Torah, he's going to merit. He's going to go on the good path. And Solomon uses the word, you have to use a rod of discipline even. Not that we should hit our children, but we need to be firm sometimes. It's because foolishness, he says, King Solomon, is tied up, is connected to their heart. And by giving them this rod of discipline and ethics, you're going to distance this foolishness from their heart. And he says, even if you see that they've really been on the bad path already, this youth, and he says, don't give up, don't despair. Don't say, oh, they have no chance. He says, they're still young. Give them rebuke little by little, admonish them little by little, and slowly the admonishment will enter their heart. Speak to them softly, speak to them kindly, and with your constant advice and care, because they see it's coming from care and love, you're going to make an imprint in their heart. As you see, like water is soft, but water makes an imprint on the rock. The rock is the hardest thing. And this is the story of Rabbi Akiva. That Rabbi Akiva was 40, he didn't even know the Aleph Bet. And he was wondering if he should start learning Torah. And he saw water penetrating the rock, and that the water actually finally penetrated the rock. And he said, if the water is soft and it penetrated the rock, which is hard, how much more so the Torah, which is hard, will penetrate my hard heart. And Rabbi Akiva became one of the greatest scholars ever. If someone does despair and doesn't make the effort to admonish this youth, really it's like they hate them. It's like they don't care about them. As Solomon says, the one who holds back the rod really hates their son, because they're not putting the time into teaching them and educating them. Solomon says the one who loves their child will actually give them discipline and admonishment early in the morning until the night. They'll keep doing it. So he says, he brings a few examples of people that didn't admonish their children, like he says Abraham and Ishmael. Abraham didn't really admonish Ishmael, and he became evil. He says with Yitzchak, Abraham didn't make the same mistake. He went into him, he made sure to discipline him, and look, from Yitzchak, from Isaac, came our whole nation. So we see this, how important in our life it is to be able to just accept advice, accept admonishment in a marriage, friendship, it's just important because then we can grow and we can learn. God bless you all. Have a wonderful Shabbat.